Should BlackRock and the 15 trillion fund industry be broken up? The big three are responsible for 73 to 80% of global ETF market and sponsor 45 of the 50 largest funds. So, what is this? BlackRock, Fidelity,
Vanguard.
Vanguard.
Yeah. Listen, I'm about to put on my whole cape for Vanguard and BlackRock. Nope. Even if it does get broken up, there will be smaller companies that are offshoot employees of theirs that end up going to take it over. Every industry has usually three big players in it. But I also want to say too, this is the truth no one wants to say. The purpose of a business is to build a monopoly that nobody else can enter. We can talk all the stuff that we want to about Apple and Google's WWE, Macho Man and Hulk Hogan relationship. They technically, you can argue because of the business they do together, Apple and Google are really like a brother and sister company. There's not that much separation between the two. So for my business owners, you want to get to a point where you do have a monopoly, and BlackRock and Vanguard essentially has that. If they aren't doing any harm to anyone, I wouldn't have it broken up. But when you get into a space, you are looking for a way, and this is what we're going back to talking about moats, which is another fundamental indicator that you guys have to use. But you have to make sure that the entrance into your business is high enough that everyone can't jump into it. So will it be broken up at some point? I think their lobbying power is too strong for that to happen. BlackRock and Vanguard own majority of all the companies on earth. That is by design. That will not be changed. I mean, for me, it would be even better if and hopefully with this conversation that I have with Kathy and somebody else at InvestFest, it'll happen. But I think every hedge fund should come to me first to know where to get into the market.
Yeah. I think every listener, right? Every listener should understand. And I know some people like, well, who is BlackRock? That's something that you definitely should know, especially if you're investing in anything, but specifically, definitely the tech companies. Look at what institutional investing is doing, like where are they allocating their money, and see what retail investors are doing and see where they're allocating their money. A lot of times when you see the chart of the percentages, the companies that have the largest institutional investment means that they have a larger backing, right? So like if retail is pushing a space, if retail investors, if there's a pullback and people start taking their money and selling off, there's going to be a pullback in that company. But when you look at a company that has large amounts of institutional investment, it's a completely different experience. So you should know who BlackRock is. You should know who Larry Fink is. And you should see when he speaks, you should definitely take note. I know, he had recently was on CNBC talking about that he thinks the economy is going to accelerate. And so when a guy who's the CEO of a company like BlackRock and you know what they're investing in, he sees that as an outlook, you got to pay attention to that. So that's the food for thought, like the homework you should be doing.
And for me, if BlackRock and Vanguard if they both don't own a company, there's no reason for me to invest into it long term. They are the whales. We are the minnows that follow them. Sometimes you may have a breakout company that you can find that you think has incredible value. But when I'm going through my fundamental list, which I'll talk about more in Market Mondays Ghana, if they don't own, BlackRock and Vanguard both own, Microsoft and Apple own a considerable share, as well as Saudi Aramco. So if those big three institutions are behind it, the probability of them going out of business and then having draw up of 100 to 200% over 5 to 7 year cycle is very probable.
Scaling looks likely.
Yes. So
there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It's a lot going on in the world nowadays, man. Get your tickets to Ghana. That's going to be a moment to remember.
Yes.
Sure. And while you're at it, Atlanta, Georgia, 2.5 weeks away. InvestFest. We're here. And PayPal also launched a stable coin for all the crypto enthusiasts out there.
Hopefully give them a boost.
We'll monitor this. I'll just briefly explain that. So PayPal Holdings, a notable player in the financial industry, has unveiled its stable coin named PayPal USD. This marks the first for major financial firms aiming to propel the adoption of digital tokens for transactions issued by Payos Trust Company,
Mhm.
PayYUSD,
Taxes.
is anchored to the US dollar and supported by US dollar deposits, short-term treasuries, and similar cash equivalents.
Yep.
Dan Schulman, PayPal CEO, envisions the stablecoin as an enhancement to the existing payment infrastructure, offering quick and cost-effective transfers without relying on a centralized system. Despite the current use of stablecoins primarily in trading, Schulman hopes to expand its use in customer payments.
No.
If y'all release that money faster, that'll help the stock in the company.
Stop the
a lot.
reserves.
Yeah, we hold
Yeah.
reserves for 7 months, 8 months. And also Tesla CFO has resigned. So it's into the stock is swirling down a little bit today, like 3.5%. So interesting. I think the stablecoin play is interesting. I said at one point every major company is going to get involved on crypto. That's why I kept saying there would be like no decentralized. But you know, and I know the crypto community always kills me on that, but because PayPal for the last 6 years, 7 years has not been doing well, they're going to throw their hat into their crypto space to try and get that audience, that fanatical audience over. I don't think it will be a band-aid that stops the bleeding, but it will help for a short term period.
Yeah.
Crypto enthusiasts, tell me what you think about this.
Should be interesting. Down 80% on the year. Down 80% from an all-time high. There was some issues with the stable coin market early in the year. We saw that with the USD coin. So it's an interesting time. It's the first major, like you said, the first major financial company from the US to enter this market. So we'll see how this goes.
We'll see.